Good morning, I'm in Strasbourg. In Lyon. This is the River Rhone, which flows through the city. There's also the River Saône further in that direction.
Pour la sortie et les correspondances.
Okay, slight problem. The 9:58 to Nice doesn't seem to exist. Good morning, it is now Saturday. I'm here in Nice. I'm just going to wander along the beachfront for a bit and see if something takes my fancy. Today I'm leaving Nice, carrying on by train along the Mediterranean coast. It's now Monday and I'm in Genova. I was planning to do a walking tour at 10 o'clock, but the place I went to said it's not on today because the guy's on holiday. So it looks like I'll be doing the exploring myself. Welcome to InterRail, the series from my 2 months of interrailing around Europe by train from London to Budapest the long way. I'll visit Brussels and stay with some family friends in Luxembourg before heading east into Germany, visiting Cologne and Berlin. I'll then take a diversion north, stopping off at Hamburg on my way to Copenhagen via the famous train ferry which has since ended, before heading back into Germany to visit Nuremberg, Munich and meeting my parents at my former home of Frankfurt. I'll then head south into France, through Strasbourg, Lyon and Nice, before running along the Mediterranean and through northern Italy via Genova, Florence and Venice. I'll then head north through the spectacular Brenner Pass and right across Austria, before finally finishing off in the Hungarian capital and my other home city of Budapest. In part 6, I'll travel across northern Italy. I'll start in Genova, possibly my favourite city of the trip so far, before heading south to visit the world-famous Leaning Tower of Pisa and continuing to the city of Florence. I'll then head north, meeting the Adriatic at the equally famous city of Venice, before finishing off in delightful Verona. In front of me here is the Palazzo Doria Terzi, which is the kind of municipal city office. Apparently it's closed, although it looks like you can go into the courtyard, so let's do that. So I don't really have a plan of what to do, I'm just going to kind of wing it. Genova, being such a hilly city, is absolutely full of funicular railways and lifts, so I'll be doing plenty of those. Here's one, the Ascensor Castellato Ponente. Why don't we go? This is the lift. Oh, that's adorable. It's all wood panelled and everything. So it has just occurred to me that you are actually supposed to pay a fare for this. I didn't actually realise. I'll remember next time. You wouldn't think because it's a lift, but it is public transport, so I guess you have to buy a ticket. a wonderful view of Genova, and just over here is another lift, the Ascendor Castelletto Levante. Again, you need a ticket for this, but I've now bought myself a 24-hour pass, so that should cover it, and the various funiculars that there are around as well. So here we have one of Genova's two funicular lines, the funicular Sant'Anna. So the funicular has brought me back up to the Castello district. I don't have a plan because my plan was resting on the walking tour, which I didn't end up doing. So I should probably make one. And just across from the funicular, there's another lift. I feel like I'm going to be doing a lot of lifts. I have absolutely no idea where I am. So this doesn't look like it's one of the main public transport lifts. It's sort of a little side lift here. It looks like it takes me to Sant'Anna Square, which is where I was going to walk anyway. So So the lift clearly belongs to whatever this is, Farmacia, like a pharmacy, but it looks like it's in a monastery. I think this is Piazza Sant'Anna. Of all the cities I've been to so far, this is probably the easiest one to just decide to go out with no particular aim and just explore the place randomly. Because you just hop in a lift and it takes you to a completely different part of the city on a totally different level of elevation. It's probably very easy to get lost in. Like if my phone died, it would be an absolute disaster because I would just be completely and utterly lost. Luckily, I've got enough charge and a portable charger as well, so that shouldn't happen. I'm gradually going to make my way back down towards Via Garibaldi, the main street where I started, and then explore a bit of the old town. So you're probably wondering what's with all the England flags. They're not England flags, they're St George's Cross flags, which is the flag of Genova.
but it is in fact identical to the flag of England.
I passed the reconstructed house of Christopher Columbus, who grew up in Genova and went on to sail the Atlantic Ocean to the New World. He's credited today as the man who discovered America, even though he never actually went to what is today the United States. He's less well remembered for the various acts of genocide he committed, definitely one of history's more overrated figures. Right next door were the ruins of the Sant'Andrea cloister.
And here is Porta Soprana, one of the old gates of the city. I'm guessing this was where the city wall was, and this is just a little fragment of it that's been preserved. I wonder if you can go up. Verona, right in the centre of the city. Next up on my plan was to visit the St. Lawrence Cathedral, but it's closed until 3 o'clock. It's now about 1:30, so I might go and do another funicular and then come back later in the afternoon. So here I am at Ricci, the top of the Zecca Ricci funicular, and the furthest up I've been today so far, because this goes up a lot further than the St. Anna funicular. In fact, I seem to be at the top of the hill, so for the first time I can look back and see and look inland. In fact, if you go up there, there's a panoramic view. Bloody hell, it didn't even occur to me how high up we actually are. As I said, we're at the top, so for the first time I can go to the other side. Oh, or I can't, because it seems to be barred off. That's a bummer. Oh, I can peer over here, look back a little bit. So here it is, St. Lawrence Cathedral. Lorenz in Italian, Lawrence in English. Let's have a look inside. Can you believe they let people park their cars in here? What a shame. Just totally ruins the look. So a lot of the buildings in this area are the Rolli Palaces, the old stately homes belonging to the noble families of Genova. They are historical palaces, but a lot of them are not museums, they're just regular buildings that are in use commercially. But some of them, if their lobbies are open, you can walk in and see these fantastic, paintings on the walls and things like that. Apparently you can do tours of them, but not on Monday, and it is Monday today, so perhaps that's something I'll come back to tomorrow. In the meantime, it's occurred to me that I've visited a heck of a lot of churches, but I don't think in this entire InterRail trip so far, I don't think I've actually been to a single shul, which is quite dismaying. I'm Jewish, so I've decided I ought to go and visit the shul of Genova, which is just about a 10-minute walk from here. This is Portello Square, where I was earlier. There's the lift up to that scenic viewpoint, Belvedere Castello, and there's the Sant'Anna funicular. Good morning, it is now Tuesday and I'm just near Genova Principal Station. I'm continuing with my quest to visit as many of the lifts and funiculars of the city as possible. So here we come to the fifth of the lifts of Genova, the Ascendor Montegialetto. This particular lift was featured in a Tom Scott video a few years ago during his quest to find a lift that goes sideways as well as up and down, which I think gives you a clue as to what is particularly interesting about this lift. Let's take a look. And here near the top of the lift is the Castello d'Albertis. I think it's now an art museum, so I probably won't bother going inside, but thought I'd come take a look at the building anyway. I ride the rack railway up to Granarolo. So here I am at the eastern terminus of the Genova Metro. Bryn looks very DLR-ish in a way. So about a 10-minute walk from the end of the metro line is this river, where just last year the Porta Morandi, which carries the A10 motorway over this river, a large viaduct, collapsed in a storm and 43 people died. I think the viaduct has been demolished. I think what we're looking at here is the start of the replacement, which they are building, because these supports look quite new. So I think they're still in the process of building a brand new viaduct. do one which is more structurally sound. Thought it'd be interesting to come and see.
The tragic collapse of the Ponte Morandi in 2018 resulted in 43 deaths. Flowers have been left here by the river. Construction of the new bridge has continued throughout the COVID-19 pandemic and is now complete, with the new bridge due to open in July 2020.
And so here I am at Brignol, the eastern terminus of the metro line, and also Genova's other main railway station. So I'm now walking towards Manin, which is the terminus of the Manin-Casella narrow gauge railway. Casella is a town about an hour away from Genova. So I decided I'm going to ride it, but not all the way. I'm going to go about halfway and then come back so that I have a bit more time before the sun goes down to go back into Genova city centre and see some palaces. Just over an hour, about an hour 20 minutes later. Somehow it feels like a lot longer. So I'm now going to walk back through the old town and go to the harbour, which I've not really seen much of. Back at Portello again. It's been like the 5th time I've come through here. Again, this is where a lot of the Rolli Palaces are, and I think a lot of them were closed yesterday, so I hope I might have a bit more luck seeing some today. There's just a closed glass door with what looks like a preserved kind of palace room in there full of antiques. You can't seem to go in. The way it seems to work is that the houses with these red plaques, which are UNESCO heritage sites, tend to keep their front doors open so that you can go in and look around, even if most of the building is in use, either because somebody lives there or because it's a bank or a shop or something else. You can usually pop your head into the entrance, but not on Mondays. So that's why when I came down here yesterday, all the doors were closed and I didn't know if I could see anything or not. But now I can just literally walk down and then every door is open and you can go in and see this wonderful interior foyers. So here I am at Porto Antico, the old harbour. A lovely scenic spot, but obviously you can't see as much because it's dark. Good morning, it is now Wednesday and I've come back down to the harbour. So I've got my ticket for all three palaces. Let's start with the Palazzo Rosso. So that was the Palazzo Rossi and Bianco, and then you go straight from Bianco to the next one along, Palazzo Tursi. The ticket is valid for all three, but first I've stepped out into the garden, which is a shared garden between Bianco and Tursi palaces. Now I came because I'm interested in the old palaces, wanted to see the interiors, but both the Rossi and the Bianco are none of the interiors are preserved. It's all art galleries, so if you're interested in, you know, Italian art, then definitely do come along. If not, the Palace Vignola, which is nearby, the one I went to yesterday, is about 50-50. So about half of it is used as an art gallery and half of it is still kind of the preserved palace interiors. And going at the exit brings you back here. This is of course the City Hall, which I was in a couple of days ago. It is the Palazzo Tursi. This section of it is the museum, which is accessible from the Palazzo Bianco. So I now have a dilemma. It's about 11 o'clock. I could get the next train to Pisa, the 12:24, have the afternoon there, or visit the Royal Palace here and then get the 1500 to Pisa, in which case I'll get there just before it gets dark and not have the afternoon there. The thing is, I went to the Palazzo Rosso and Bianco because I thought they would be, you know, kind of interior palaces. They would have all the old palace interiors, but they didn't because they're art galleries. So this one Palazzo Royale might be more what I was looking for in the first place. I think I'll do it. Why not? I've got all of tomorrow in Pisa. So the Palazzo Reale is actually much smaller than I was expecting it to be. So with a bit of a spring in my step, I was pretty much able to whip through it in about half an hour. I could have spent more time in there, obviously, but I've decided I'm going to try and have my cake and eat it, visit the Royal Palace, but still get the 12:24 train. Should also note that because the kind lady at reception said I looked under 18 and managed to get in for free, thus removing the incentive to get my money's worth by spending more than half an hour just walking through it. But it is lovely, so definitely worth visiting if you're here, and if you want to see kind of palace interiors, then I'd do that one rather than the Palazzo Rosso and Bianco.
Train 8606 to Torino Porta Nuova with scheduled departure at 11.
So here I am in Pisa. This is the River Arno. Looks rather murky and it's flowing very quickly. Probably been raining quite a lot further upstream. It's not been raining here, although there was some lightning. It seems to have calmed down now. Anyway, let's go explore Pisa. Di Santa Maria della Spina, which might be the smallest church I think I've ever seen. It's really quite small. Charming. Very small and very closed, unfortunately, so I can't look inside. in the Piazza dei Cavalieri. It's much quieter than I was expecting. Then again, it is November. Well, there it is, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, right next to the cathedral. I was wondering at first why they're all standing over here and not here, but then I realised if you stand here, the tower looks kind of normal, whereas I guess if you stand there, from that angle, you can see it leaning more. I don't know, guys, something seems slightly weird about this tower. Has anyone else noticed it? Oh, it's like the painting on the wall. Something's slightly off. Not sure what it is.
And now for my brand new photography project. Pictures of people taking pictures of themselves in front of the Leaning Tower of Pisa, but from the wrong angle, so they all look weird.
So it's 10 to 5, I've just gone into the ticket shop to buy a ticket for the next available slot, which is 5 o'clock, 10 minutes. This is the fantastic thing about travelling in November, because I imagine if you try and do that in July, you'll be told come back in 2 weeks. But if you do have the opportunity to buy in person as opposed to online in advance, then do, because it's €10 cheaper. Yeah, it's only 18 euros, while as I just looked it up online and it was 28. The ticket to the Leaning Tower of Pisa also gives you access to the cathedral, but the nearby baptistry is extra. And for the 115th time of this InterRail series, I will make this joke again. Up and 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 up. Here I am at the top. Ooh. Sorry, it just feels like the ground is sloping somehow. Is it just me? This is the top. And look, you can actually see the bells of the Pisa bell tower. And just like that, it got dark. Now I remembered the negative side of travelling in November. So it's now Thursday. I was planning to do a full day in Pisa and then go to Florence tomorrow, but having done the tower and the cathedral, I have the distinct feeling that I've kind of, done Pisa. There's not really anything else here. So I cancelled the second night, booked an extra night in Florence, and I'm heading there now.
Siamo in arrivo a Firenze Santa Maria Novella. Termine corsa del treno.
So here I am in Firenze, also known as Florence. Reminds me of a funny story my uncle told me. My uncle and my aunt were travelling around Tuscany, and because they wanted to go and see kind of small obscure places, they decided to specifically avoid big cities. So they were not going to go to Florence, so they just hopped on a train, got off somewhere random, walked around, thought, this is nice. And then when they suddenly saw a very realistic looking statue of David, they suddenly realised that Firenze is actually Florence and that they had actually come to Florence. So this is the Palazzo Medici Riccardi. I think you can pay an entry fee to go inside, but I'm quite happy to just have a look at the lovely courtyard and then carry on. And here, right in the city centre point of the city, the Cathedral Santa Maria del Fiore. That is quite the cathedral. And I think, I'm not too badly mistaken, that you can climb up on top of the dome to get a good view of the city. No doubt they will probably charge you an extortionate amount for the privilege. And as in Pisa, right next to the cathedral, you have the bell tower, but this one seems to be very much upright. So you can climb to the top of that, and you can climb to the top of the dome. I have a suspicion that when it comes to paying for the ticket, I'm going to have to choose between the two. I think the dome is more iconic, but the bell tower definitely looks higher. Decisions. So I was wrong, because there's only one type of ticket you can buy, which is the all-in-one ticket, which is €18. But unlike in Pisa, that also gives you access to the baptistry, and also one other thing, I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, cathedral, dome, bell tower, baptistry, and something else, all for €18. And you need a time slot to go up to the dome. Again, since it's November, I could, in theory, buy one for 3 o'clock, which is in half an hour, but I decided to get one for 3:30, so that I had time to do the cathedral and the bell tower first. I think I should start with the cathedral itself. The crypt is the other thing it gives you access to, but the cathedral itself actually is free. So you don't need the ticket to go inside the cathedral, but you do need it for the bell tower, the crypt, and the dome, and the baptistry, and usually the museum, although the museum apparently is closed. So that was the cathedral and the crypt underneath it, where you can see the architectural remains of a previous church that was on this site, dating back to the Roman times. Unfortunately, I had to rush through the archaeological remains a bit because it's already 3:20 and I need to be in the queue for the dome in time for my slot. Well, it's now 5:30. I think I've made the most of my €18. As usual, it's gotten dark earlier than I would have wanted it to, so tomorrow I will wake up nice and early and make full use of full day in Florence, and I'll have all of the day after that as well, so plenty of time still. I'm now going to head to the Gallery Accademia to go and see the famous Michelangelo statue of me, David. So here I am, having joined a walking tour. I'm now at the Piazza del Signore. So the walking tour finished here at the Arno River, and just over there is the Ponte Vecchio. Oh look, it's David again. This one's just a copy. So I've bought my ticket for the Palazzo Vecchio. It also includes the archaeological tour. I'm going to start with that. I've made a horrible mistake. This ice cream is enormous. I think I asked for a giant cone by mistake. I've now come back to visit the Uffizi Gallery, although first I'm going to have to finish this, which by the looks of it is going to take me at least half an hour. It started raining again. I've been at this for a good 10 minutes and somehow I still seem to have a full ice cream left. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish this. It cost me €8 as well.
I didn't end up finishing the ice cream, and by the time I gave up I was feeling a bit frustrated and a little homesick. I decided I couldn't be bothered queuing for the Uffizi Gallery to look at yet more Italian art, so I decided to see the Ponte Vecchio and call it a day.
Good morning. It's now my last full day here in Florence. This evening I'll be taking a train to Venice, which I'll be doing a full day in tomorrow. I was planning to do the shul first this morning, but I'm a bit of an idiot because it's Saturday, so it's closed, at least to tourists. There's the Jewish museum that's built into it, which is obviously closed. So I suppose I could go in there for the Saturday morning shul service, but I don't think I will do that. So I'll just go and see it from the outside. So here I am in Piazza della Sant'Missa Annunziata. The Basilica di Santa Croce de Firenze. Now, when I was looking down over the city from the top of the dome and the bell tower a couple of days ago, I thought this was the shul. And to be honest, I think it's a fairly reasonable mistake to make, because there is a massive Magen David right at the front, right on the top there. But no, this is a church. The shul is back there and looks completely different. So that was the Santa Croce Basilica, which contains within it the graves of Michelangelo and Galileo, and also some very famous paintings, including The Last Supper, which is on a it's attached to a very clever mechanism that raises it in case of flooding, because apparently we're actually below the level of the Arno River. I was curious, of course, about the massive Magen David at the top. Apparently the architect of the facade, although the church is some 700-800 years old, the facade itself is relatively recent, within the last 200 years, recent I mean, and it was designed by a Jewish architect who, I guess, snuck in the Magen David for bants or whatever, I don't know. But apparently he wanted to be buried inside the church, but he wasn't allowed to because he was Jewish, so his grave is right outside somewhere.
I visit the Galileo Museum, featuring two collections, the Medici and the Lorraine collections. It contains a number of globes, clocks and various scientific instruments. I would have complained that there was a lack of interactivity, but the last room contains a whole bunch of interactive displays that you can play with, including these acceleration modelling marble runs.
So here I am crossing the river on the Ponte Vecchio, Florence's most famous bridge. It's all jewellers along here.
The Vasari corridor, towering above the streets of Florence and over the Ponte Vecchio, is a passageway linking the Palazzo Vecchio and the Palazzo Pitti. Sadly, it's not currently accessible to the public.
And here is the Palazzo Pitti, the new palace. So unfortunately the gardens of the Palazzo Pitti, the Boboli Gardens, are closed, which is a shame. Anyway, it's already 4:30, so the day is already beginning to run out. So I'm going to walk over to the Piazzale Michelangelo, which has a lovely view over the city. That should be a nice place to sit down, watch the sunset, and thus finish my stint in Florence. Tonight I'm catching a train to Venice, which I will spend a full day in tomorrow. So I've decided to be a bit lazy. I caught a bus. Piazzale Michelangelo is actually pretty far up, much further up than I was expecting. So it would have been a lengthy walk up. I'll walk down. On the plus side, being so high up means the view of Florence, of Firenze, should be spectacular.
Era uma equipe meio merda, só tinha fofoqueiro. Juro, chegou uma hora, tava toda ouvindo a brigada, tinha dois grupos.
Good morning YouTube, it's Sunday and I'm in Venice. Now you're probably thinking, Venice? This doesn't look particularly like, you know, those stereotypical images of Venice with its cute little streets and canals. Well, that's because I'm not on Venice Island, I'm in Venezia Mestre, which is the part of the city on the mainland. I call this particular area Sleepy Town because it's basically all just hotels of people like me who've arrived from elsewhere in Italy and are spending the night before then going onto the island itself. So I'm just next to Venezia Mestre station. From here you just hop on any train to cross the causeway onto Venice Island itself. I'm going to be spending the full day, it's 7:30, so relatively early, doing full day in Venice, and then in the evening I'll catch a train to Verona. You can see how high the water level is. I mean, this is the ground, and already one step down and my feet would get splashed from time to time. Venice is not a city that will benefit at all from sea level rise, I suspect. This is the Grand Canal, which snakes its way through the city, and I'm going to catch a riverboat to get to Piazza San Marco. So that was a trip across Venice by boat. I'm going to be on foot for the rest of the day. Oh dear. You can see why everybody's been buying these plastic wellies. So I sat down to have a coffee, walked around a bit, and I'll come back to Piazza San Marco because it's just past 2 o'clock, which means the Basilica is now open. As you can see, the tide's completely gone out now. This was totally flooded when I arrived. So I just stood in the queue, got to the front, then was reminded that I'm supposed to go drop off my bag, and now the queue's even longer than it was when I got there. Can't be arsed. Let's just walk around Venice a bit. So I'm back at the Grand Canal, and here is the Rialto Bridge. So in my aimless wandering, I ended up back at the station, but don't worry, I'm not going just yet. I'm going to try and squeeze as much out of today as possible and hop on the last train of the day to Verona, whenever that is. I should probably look that up. In the meantime, I'm just wandering aimlessly, but if there's any place on the planet where wandering around aimlessly is a great thing to do, then it's here in Venice, because every corner, canal, is something to see. I have no idea what this building here is, but I'm going to go take a look. So I've deviated slightly to come take a look at a particular corner of the city, the Ghetto Novo, or the old Jewish ghetto. I think there's a synagogue somewhere around here that hopefully I can go into and take a look at. So I've popped my head into the Jewish Museum there. In the meantime, it's gone dark. It's too late to see the synagogue itself, which is a shame.
I wouldn't say I was disappointed in Venice as a city, but my experience of it, just visiting for the day and being on my own, wasn't the highlight of my trip.
Good afternoon, it's now Monday. I'm in Verona. Up and up and up. So here I am inside the arena, which looks a bit like a miniature version of the Colosseum in Rome. So here I am in Innsbruck. So here I am in Salzburg.